Welcome to this in-depth lesson dedicated to this beautiful piece by Robert Schumann. If you are watching this on YouTube, just be aware that this is a short fragment and you can find the full comprehensive lesson by following the link in the description. So this piece, of course, is so beautiful and it seems so easy, so unpretentious. And of course, most professional pianists can just sight read it, no problem. But if you are a late beginner or early intermediate player and you pick up this piece and you think like, okay, it's something I can master very quickly, and then you really struggle to get through and your head explodes because you have so many things to think about and the coordination is difficult and you have a lot of tension and it doesn't sound very nice. So if it's about you, don't worry. First of all, there's nothing wrong about you because this piece is really a little bit deceptive. It seems very simple, but it's not. And secondly, we got you covered because in this lesson, I will show you how to master this piece step by step. I will explain you the harmony, the fingering, how to get rid of tension, how to play with a natural, efficient technique. And of course, further on, when we will deal with basic issues, we will speak about phrasing, about sound production, pedaling, and other things to polish your interpretation and to make you sound really great. So let's go on. But first of all, what is this piece about? Because Robert Schumann composed the cycle in his late 20s. So he was a young man by modern standards. And the cycle is called Kinderszenen, which basically means scenes from childhood. And what is interesting is that he first composed the pieces, as far as I know, according to my research, and then he assigned titles to these pieces. So it's not a strictly programmatic music where a composer has a clear story, and then they compose music which kind of depicts this story. In this case, it was the opposite way, the other way around. A composer first composed these pieces, and then Schumann thought about, okay, what kind of title would describe the mood of this piece? And then he ended up with these titles, which we have in the score. And the first piece, the one we are going to master today, is called Von Fremden, Ländern und Menschen, which in English means of foreign lands and peoples. So it suggests the character, the mood of the piece. So immediately we think of some light nostalgia, some memory of childhood, for example, when you remember how you dreamt about traveling somewhere as a kid and visiting some exciting new places and people and experiencing something new, or maybe you were reading a fantasy book like Tolkien or Chronicles of Narnia, and you was amazed by these beautiful magical worlds and thinking like, oh my God, it would be so great to get there and to experience all this. And yes, but of course, it's not a very dramatic piece. So we're speaking about mild curiosity rather than some dramatic urge to act, right? Which is quite evident from this piece. Also because it's written in G major. So this is another hint about the character of the piece. Because G major is a very mild key, a very positive, very light, and warm. A warm one, because it's not as dramatic, it's not as glorious as E flat major, for example. Yeah, it's not as energetic as D major, for example. G major is more on a cozy side, let's say. That's why composer picked up this particular key and not some other one, right? So let's master this piece in steps. First of all, let's notice in what kind of form it is composed. This is a very simple ABA form, so we have 3 sections in this piece. The first section is 8 bars long, the one I played for you in the beginning of this video. The second section, B section, starts from bar 9 and goes till bar 14. So this is our contrasting section. So this was our B section, and then we get back to A section. And we have an exact replica. So we have A, B, A. That's why it's so easy to learn this piece, especially if you know what you're doing. So let's proceed in steps. First, let's play just the melody, bars 1 till 8. And immediately we're going to learn the correct fingers. And we are going to work on a freedom in the arm, because it's very important to instill a habit of playing this piece efficiently without tension from the very start. So our task here is to activate the finger very well, all the joints of the finger. When you take the note, and of course we approach the keyboard with a very free arm by using gravity. Yeah, so we raise the forearm a little bit, and then we kind of drop the forearm by using the weight of the arm, and the finger withholds. So we activate all the joints. Don't let your joints collapse, right? So a nice rounded natural curve, not too curly, not too flat, just a natural curve shape with the wrist at the key level, like this. And as soon as you reach the bottom of the key, you have to offload most of that energy you used to produce the sound. So as soon as you reach the bottom, boom, bounce off and feel how much relaxation you can get in the hand, and that you don't remain tense right after the strike. So we have to separate the first impulse and relaxing most of that energy right after the strike while we keep holding that note like this. So move around, exaggerate that motion, just feel how little pressure you need to keep that note, right? And how much freedom you can get in the hand. So really try to imitate like swimming, or like imagine that that your arm is a wing of a bird, right? Like this. Move around. Master this ability to move around while being quite relaxed here. Of course, we are not going to do these wild motions when we play a piece, but it's necessary to feel that freedom, to just unlock your body and to be able to move without tension. Yeah, so relaxing right after the hit. And then we transfer the weight to the fifth finger, releasing the second finger. Very well, you see? So you can just bounce around, feeling how you transfer the weight from left to the right. And reaching without tension. So you open the hand naturally with as little tension as possible, and immediately releasing the second finger. And then we have a suggestion in the score, 4-5 on F sharp. So basically, the editor suggests us to change the finger while we hold F sharp. And this is a very good suggestion. I would really suggest you to follow it. So 5, 4, and then change to 5, like this. So while you hold that F sharp, make this exercise by changing the finger 4 and 5. And you see, to make it comfortably, I move my arm left and right, like this. So that's a good exercise, because sometimes we have to do such things. Why it is necessary here? Because you will have the other voice here, played with the thumb, and then you have 4-3. So we have 2, 5, 4, 5, 4, 3. So that's our fingering. Practice just this and make sure that you can release right after the strike. Especially here. It's easier to change the finger on that note if you are not blocked. If you are blocked, then it's really awkward. But if you can let it go and stay gently attached to the key but without pressure, yeah, then it will be much easier to change the finger. Same thing. 4, change to 5, 4, 3. 2, 5, 4, So be mindful about your fingering. Learn correct fingers from the beginning. As soon as you feel comfortable with the right hand, let's add just the lower voice, the bass voice, this one. And you see, those are just eighth notes, normal eighth notes. So we are not going to hold them. We play the note, activating all the joints of the finger, of course. The wrist is at the key level. The finger is well curved, but not too much. A natural curve, stable joints. And as soon as you reach the bottom of the key, raise the forearm gently and just relax the finger like this. So stable finger, raise the forearm, relax the finger like this. And you see there is no need to lift the finger after the strike. We don't need to do this extra work. We can just let it go. Just relax the finger, gently raise the forearm. So here, at the bottom point, your wrist gets to the key level, not lower, but at the key level. And then you just raise the wrist just a tiny bit, 1 inch, relaxing the finger. So that's your amplitude. And also be mindful about the fingering. 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, 5, 5, 4, 3, or maybe 4 as well. 5, 5, 4, 5, 5, 5, 3. So this is our bass. And now let's play just these two voices, the melody and the bass. And we hold the notes in the melody, but we release the notes in the bass, like this. And do it really slowly, but make sure you use the correct fingers. And really practice like this a few times, maybe even a few days in a row, just to get used to this and to master these two voices. Because when we add the third voice, which is in the middle, this is where things will get confusing if you're not confident about these two voices.